She was 6, and so was I, and we sat under a tree with leaves shaped like little hearts, and we promised we'd be best friends forever. And her eyes were the color of the sky right in the middle of summer, when it's so blue it's almost hard to look at. And she had the kind of laugh that made everyone around her start to giggle. She was 8, and so was I, and we were in dance class with our feet turned out and our heads held high. And our teacher came around and gave us both a belt to tie around our middle, because they were round and would stick out, and she told us that we would never make it into dance with extra fat. And we had to learn to start sucking in like the real ballerinas did. She was 10, and so was I, and we were in the cafeteria for the first time. I watched her stand and throw her lunch away, and she said that she ate a big breakfast, and being young I believed it, but every day since then I wish I hadn't. She was 12, and so was I. The first time we went swimming with boys, and we both cackled obnoxiously and whispered to each other about what the older kids talked about. And we played like we were adults, and I remember being jealous about all the boys staring at her, but I honestly can't remember seeing her eating that entire summer. She was 14, and so was I, and her hair started to thin out, and her lips would turn blue in 40-degree weather, and her cheeks looked so hollow, and her eyes so empty that you could fall into them. And we had a sleepover, and she told me, "Look, I'm an angel," while sticking out her shoulder blades, and I remember feeling scared for her life because I could count every bone in her spine and see every one of her ribs sticking out, and she promised me that we would be best friends forever. And how am I supposed to dance without my partner? But I couldn't help her, I didn't know how, and she was so much worse than anyone ever knew because sucking in is just what ballerinas did. Now I can see her whenever I want, on top of the hill in the cemetery, with her pointed toes and straight back, 6 feet underground, carving a 6-foot trench into my soul, and every time I go there I say, my best friend is dead to the wind. And sometimes I swallow the guilt in my throat, and it sloshes around in my stomach like ink, and I want to lay my bones down next to her grave and pray for the soil to take me, and call out to the stars to let me go. And what used to be beautiful is just a reminder of her missing beauty. And life doesn't seem fair anymore. Well, because death took someone who wanted to stay then, and it won't take someone who wants to go now. And all she ever wanted was to be a ballerina, and she can't anymore. Because she's 16 and will stay 16, while I keep on getting older. I liked how the poem focused on an issue that many of us see and face in our daily lives. I actually found the poem scrolling through Twitter one day, and the caption was that it was a must-read. The poem looked long, so I hesitated to read it at first, but over time I became more familiar with the language and realized how I wanted to read and portray the poem to the class. As sad as it is, the poem would not be the same without its specific details, imagery, and diction. The visuals allow the readers to understand the changes and pain associated with anorexia. I like how the stanzas represent different years throughout the best friends' lives. The last stanza is so powerful that I felt it had to be shared.